You want to be able to say, we have a profit share, or, hey, we do a match, and this is how it's really going to benefit you. That really puts you ahead of the game.
And the employees see that and they feel that financial security. They're not going to be looking around other places for other employment. It's very common for people to have a plan and not be reviewing it.
That person took the plan to their advisor and came back and said, this is really expensive. And he said, oh my God, what do you mean? This business owner was aware that they had a fiduciary responsibility. He actually said, I was not doing my fiduciary due diligence. New York State has put out a mandate where if you have 10 or more employees, you're going to have to start to offer a retirement plan. If you've had a simple, you are grandfathered in, but moving forward, you are going to have you're going to have a retirement plan. I would say a lot of it is retention, right? The average employee stays about 2.5 years. And if you want, it goes in. It's a lot of money to get somebody trained. It's a lot of money, to find somebody new if you have, constant turnover. So really, to have a good plan really helps people, as a business perspective, maintain their talent. So that's where you want to look at what benefits are you offering.
It's the retention, but then also we've, worked with people that unfortunately had some talent, decide to go other places because they didn't have that great of a retirement plan.
When we enroll people or speak to them, we hear more of, do you have a match, right? What's the benefit? So I think as I don't want to say older generation, but as generations have come before, they've been more educated in retirement plans and they're passing that along to their children. And as a business owner, you want to be able to answer that question. And you want to be able to say, we have a profit share, or, hey, we do a match, and this is how it's really going to benefit you. That really puts you ahead of the game. So a match is defined, we can get real technical, it's defined in your plan document. So when you set up a retirement plan, right, it's a roadmap. We are setting up what you are going to offer in that plan. So really, in there, you're going to state your match.
The employer is matching the employee's contributions. So the employee will be able to elect a percentage of their paycheck to go into the 401k plan, and the employer will state in that document, like Angela said, how much they will match every time they contribute. So for instance, there are some matches that we'll keep it simple, where if the employee defers 3%, the employer will match 3% as well. And then above that, the employee can still contribute above, but they won't be receiving a match above 3%.
With a profit share, most plans, it's written in that it's discretionary. So what that means is if you're a business owner and you're not sure if it fits into your budget this year, you can say it's discretionary. And so it is, just as it says it is, it's a profit share. So your business was profitable and you're going to share it with your employees. When we started to dive in, if they've had some extra profitability, we've been able to, we can break out classes of employees. So we've seen that. And we've been able to just do a full profit share across the board. So, we can think about, we have some organizations that do completely that.
Mm-hmm. And every year you can evaluate how much you want to give into that profit share. So that's something that we can coordinate at the end of the year to see, how much or how do we want to do this profit share and how much do we want to give. So it's not something that you're kind of handcuffed to, that you have to give an X amount every year. It's up to kind of your discretion. So
yeah, and it's nice for employers, right? They can make that change. They can go year by year and see if something's, needs to be changed within the business, if they're going to reinvest in the business, or, give it to employees.
Give it back to the employees, yeah. And bringing back up retention, those dollars that you give through a profit share can have a vesting schedule, meaning that the employees that do receive that profit share in their plan will have to stay there for a certain amount of years for it to become fully vested, meaning that those dollars are theirs. So if they were to leave before, say, 3 years, they would only get a portion of those dollars, and that money will come back to you in the plan that you can use for other participants and other expenses.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a business where, people have retired as millionaires, and
Yes.
that is no joke. They have retired as millionaires just due to profit sharing.
Yep.
And it's phenomenal to see, because now they're able to retire, they're secure. But then it's a really nice message for, when you enroll, you can say, hey, look at this, stick with it. They're very generous.
Yeah. I agree. And then when the employees see that and, they feel that financial security of where they are, they're not going to be looking around other places for other employment because they're being treated so well from where they are. It comes down to plan design and which one that the business owner would like and kind of the type of employees are there and what they're really trying to get out of the plan. Sometimes it is easier to do a match because there's testing requirements that 401k plans have to go through to be non-discriminatory towards the owners or high income earning employees. So sometimes if business owners come to us and they would like to have a match or a profit share, we might go towards the match just because we can get around that testing every year and it's a little bit easier to run and more cost effective. But sometimes some business owners would like to do a profit share just because we can make it discretionary. So if they do have a good year, they'll be able to decide at the end of that year, okay, I would like to set aside this much money for everyone in the plan and distribute that to everybody.
Yeah, there's two ways we'll see business owners go to. So a good chunk of businesses go on the side of being safe harbor. What does safe harbor mean? So we'll break it down real easy. Safe harbor means that as long as you are providing a match to your employees and you agree that they'll be immediately vested, meaning the money that employer puts in automatically becomes that person's money. So we've spoken about vesting. They don't have to work there for a certain period of time for their money to be theirs. So we'll call it an agreement then is the business owner can maximize the retirement plan. Also means that you will pass immediately 2 of the testing requirements. So that is becoming very popular because business owners want to be able to maximize their retirement plan. So I would say probably the majority of our plans are safe harbor. So then what happens is there's 2 different match that you can select from those. It does have to have a match. You can do additional profit share, which I think we got 3 of those that do that.
Yeah.
But that's really nice because that's where we see, the Secure Act came out. So now, we can have super catch-ups increased. Business owners really want to maximize their plan, right? They want to save too. There aren't a ton of vehicles to be able to save on a tax favorable basis. So this is one that we've seen the industry really go towards.
So let's talk about a client recently that we're working with that came to us with a plan and how we've been able to help him, figure out his plan design and then also look at, expenses and his investment selections as well.
Yeah. Well, as you know, retirement plans are relationships, and sometimes they're hard to beat. So we're usually up against a few other people.
Yep.
This one came to us, as a referral, which was lovely. We do love referrals. And really, they had a plan. It was expensive. And actually, what it had started at was they were looking to hire a new person. And that person took the plan to their advisor and came back and said, this is really expensive. And he said, oh my God, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Right, never good.
Yes. Yep.
That's not what an employer wants to hear. So what had happened was they were kind. They released the documents to us. We do need a few documents to look at. And I was able to break it out. They had really high fund expenses. So you know how that goes.
Yep.
Nobody wants to pay a lot for their retirement plan. But retirement plans have changed, and a lot of people always thought their retirement plan was free. How many times have you heard that?
Yeah. We hear it all the time, and many people aren't looking at their statements and going through the plan document to see how much they're actually paying. Even today, a few plans that we come across or work with, we're always digging into long documents trying to figure out how much are you actually paying, because it's not always that transparent.
Yeah, not transparent on this one at all. It took me a while.
Yeah.
With spreadsheets, always fun. Document reading, really, really exciting. But what we had found out during this document, it really was restrictive. They weren't able to take a loan. There was no hardship, no in-service withdrawals. He had no idea. He was like, what does this mean? I don't even know. Had no idea. And then we talked about how much it cost. And unfortunately, their employees were paying a lot of money, and they just didn't know. This business owner, right, was in the plan as well, and he said, oh my God, I'm paying a lot of money.
Yes.
Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
So that didn't go over well. And right, it is a relationship business. What's our sales cycle?
Long, yeah.
Very long.
It's a long time.
It's not like financial planning where they're like, yeah, sign me up. It is like, let me talk to some people. In full disclosure, they, went around and did get some other quotes, which is fair. I sit by our work any day. And so they actually came back and said, we're going to work with you. And so part of that now is going to be, we have to redevelop their fund lineup, which is always fun.
Yeah, and it's always good to see a business owner take or realize, or take initiative on going out and reviewing their plan, because, so many plans, that we see even here in Buffalo, tend to be very neglected, and we're able to look at them and we can see that they have really high expenses and that their investments aren't doing well as a lot of errors that come through, such as corrective distributions, having to do that, which is another cost to the plan and a headache. So it's very common for people to have a plan and not be reviewing it, and these business owners have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that this plan is running the best that it can be for all the participants. So it's very important for business owners to be looking at their plan, evaluating their expenses, investments, and then also just working with somebody like us or another professional to make sure that it's running efficiently as possible for them to resolve any headaches that happen throughout the year.
Yeah, and fiduciary did come up. So this business owner was aware that they had a fiduciary responsibility. He actually said, I was not doing my fiduciary due diligence. And he personally felt badly about that. And that was refreshing, because to your point, a lot of plans are neglected. People will tell us, would we rather, we don't want to change payroll. We really don't want to change our 401k. It's a real hassle. We get that all the time.
Yeah.
So it was refreshing that this individual did take the time to say, you know what, I've got to do better, and we're going to do better. And that hurt. He did have a relationship with somebody else, and so that can be a difficult conversation as well.
And I think it's a misconception that working with us will be such a huge, big change, but in reality, we don't have to make any changes. All you have to do to work with us is just a simple agreement, and we're able to start reviewing the plan right away. And we can walk through any changes that need to happen, but it's actually an easy process just to start working with us.
The industry's changed. I've been doing it for a long time. The industry has certainly changed. We've had a lot of fee compression, so it has really come down in cost. And good providers now are flat fee pricing, so you can see and you can anticipate what your costs are going to be. And you don't have to have a certain amount of assets in the plan to get better pricing. So if you're building a plan, right, we see that's our startup space. Yeah. You're not going to pay you're not going to pay more because you're starting to build that plan. You're going to know what your fee is, and you can budget that in. I will say that we have some very great tax credits for those employers starting a retirement plan. They are fantastic. And so right now, if you hadn't had a simple or a plan previously and you go and you set up a retirement plan, there are some great you're going to get some great tax initiatives to do that.
Yeah, I mean, for the first 3 years, it kind of comes out that, all your costs for starting the plan are going to be covered by the tax credit. So if you're thinking about doing it, definitely think about doing it now. Because once you get the plan up and running, after those 3 years, it's a lot easier to keep that plan operating and less of a burden for you as a business owner.
Yeah, and there's also, you're going to get some more incentives if you match, and that's going to be per person. And you get another incentive for automatic enrollment, which you have to do anyway. So maybe not put that on because the government might catch up with that one pretty soon. But right, it's really the first couple of years, even with match dollars, most likely can be covered, which is fantastic. So you'll hear Pooled Employer Plan, aka the PEP. They've come out, I would say, in the past 5 years, we've had some restrictions lifted on them. So you're going to see that they're more predominant in the marketplace. So what that means for a business owner, if you are starting, right, you're going to do that startup plan and you want to, right, you don't know where to go. Maybe you don't have an HR professional, right? That's a good, our businesses don't always have an HR professional.
Usually, one person running the show.
Yeah, you got, they're carrying, the multiple tasks on their back every day. So the Pooled Employer Plan is essentially putting small businesses together for economies of scale. So you will see that, and also simplicity. I would say our document is pretty simple. So you're not going to be bombarded with a ton of options. We're going to say, hey, this is what this is what we offer. This is what's pretty commonplace. And then you're able to also get, some pricing on administrative. So that helps. And also with additional administrative, so somebody who's going to spot check payrolls, somebody who's going to check deferrals, that's a big one, what employees are putting in. And they're also going to sign off on your year-end testing for you. So if you're like, I forgot to do that testing, once in a while, we get that.
Every year.
Somebody forgets, now that's already taken care of for you. So that has been out in the marketplace more, particularly with New York State Secure Choice. So it is a nice solution because it does take some of the work off.
It's definitely for a business owner that has a lot on their plate and they kind of need that full suite of service. They want to offer a 401k plan, but they would like to help with administrating it. And then also, the kind of wholesale economy of scale, like Angela said, where you get the benefits of a big retirement plan as a small business owner with, a smaller size company. So Angela, from our experience, what are some things that business owners, tend to stay up at night thinking about regarding retirement plans?
Biggest thing, once they've experienced it, is compliance. By far, it's compliance. Nobody wants the Department of Labor knocking on your door. So really, do they have the right people in place? I think from an HR perspective is one. If they don't have an HR person, it's on them. And I think that can be very daunting. I think of a few where late deferrals is a really big one that we've seen. Heaven forbid you go on vacation. Who's running payroll? Is it getting done on time? So there are regulations, right? You have to turn it in a certain amount of time. So you have to turn in employee money in a certain amount of time. Nobody wants to do a lost earnings calculation. It is painful. It costs you more money, and it triggers the Department of Labor to come knocking on your door. Right? Nobody, once they find one thing, they're going to find more things, and the Department of Labor. To me, that would be one of them. Turnover is a big one too. We've got a few with a lot of turnover. I'm not sure if you want to comment on how that impacts the retirement plans.
Yeah, plans with a lot of turnover, especially if they have automatic enrollment. These participants usually start participating into the plan for a period of time while they're working there, and then tend to leave. But as a business owner, you are still have that responsibility or that fiduciary responsibility to that former employee to manage their money in their best interest, and is kind of just seen as a liability. So plans that have a lot of turnover, you want to make sure that you're staying on top of it and you're making sure that these accounts and funds are going into the right places in the event of anything happening down the road.
Yeah, that's a good one. Probably twofold in there, right? Once you have those termed employees, you do have to contact them, right? When you have to do annual disclosures, right? You have to find them.
Yeah, correct.
We don't find them all.
No, not always. Sometimes, their address change, phone number, email. You have to go out there and, give them copies of the documents every year.
When one guy go to jail.
Yeah, that is
That was
true.
interesting. Don't get that every day. Still responsible, even when
you
they're
are.
in jail. So that was one. And funds. Like, I think a lot of employers will say, I'm not an investment advisor. Like, I don't even know what this means. Am I offering the right thing? So we do get that as well. So that one, and that does come up, I would say, a little bit more. On the flip side, some people are like, what about some Bitcoin? What are we going to offer? Some gold? And you really have to think about, to your point on fiduciary responsibility, that you have to cater to the masses. And we can't have people buying all their golds in their retirement plan.
Got to stay diversified.
Yeah, you gotta diversify, even in retirement plans. But I would think too, to piggyback off what you said, is our employees saving? You don't want, and I don't mean this to be ageism in any way, but nobody, wants poor Joe who's been working for your company for 60 years and he can't retire because he never put any money away, right? That's not where you want your employees to be. And in conjunction with that, hopefully they're not using it as like a checking account. How many times have we said, don't use it as a checking account?
Correct.
So we see that too, and we try to help business owners speak to their employees and help them with that. But yeah, I would say those are our top ones. Real estate tends to be a big one too, if we're working with certain sectors, because they want to be able, if it's a developer, they want to be able to take a loan to go buy something, but they also want to use their retirement plan, like to have that, or the retirement sector in there. I used to have pharmaceuticals was a big one. Back in the day, everybody wanted to be part of the pharmaceutical, right? The medical, everything was going up. That was one. Now I'm in gold. Precious metals is a big one that we added that one.
Yeah, it's its own asset class, but you have to, once you add it, you're not able to kind of control how much people contribute to it. So essentially somebody could contribute their whole retirement account to that one fund. So that's why you got to be a little cautious on the funds that you're picking, so they're not very concentrated in certain areas.
Some plans have self-directed brokerage accounts, where you give you some more lingo, which means you can have a brokerage account in conjunction. It's affiliated with your retirement plan. That, as a business owner, you are taking on a huge responsibility through that. And where I've seen that is you will get a lot of shop talk where one individual really likes this investment and tells everybody like this is going to be great. And before you know it, people have shifted their money and all bought into this one investment. They don't know what it is. So the hard part is they've just risked their retirement into buying whatever it could be. There's a lot of things that go on that people don't know. And I think private equity, we've now on the floor, we're they're advocating for private equity, which is also very complicated. And your average investor, that is going to be very difficult for them. So yeah, we get some interesting ones.
Retirement plans and business planning is a very noteworthy conversation. And to wrap this up, what is the one thing you'd communicate to them?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would say is, take the time to look at your plan. It only takes a few minutes, and if you don't know, talk to a professional. We're happy to help. All of your reporting is public, so we can always look and say, hey, here's what's working, here's what's not working, and we can definitely be a resource.